Have you ever felt like you're talking to an AI but something's missing? Like there's a wall between you and what you're trying to build. It's probably not an actual wall and it's not your prompt, but there is a tool that's behind all of this that may actually help you see what AI is thinking in real time, and that's Claude Console. So not all AI, a very particular AI, and it may change how you work with AI. At least again with Claude in particular. So what is Claude Console? Well, what am I even talking about? Well, it's Anthropic's direct interface to Claude, their known AI model that everyone wants to use at this point. If they're not using ChatGPT, that is. Or a lot of other ones, I'm not saying there aren't. But it's not a wrapper around Claude. This isn't a third-party tool. This is Anthropic's own product, which means you're getting the official experience, the first access to new features, and the most direct line to what Claude can actually do. Claude itself is a conversational AI trained on a massive data set that you're fully aware of. But more importantly, it's trained with a strong focus on being helpful, harmless, and honest. I'm not saying it's perfect in what it does, but that's kind of what they wanted to do because this was all created by Anthropic. Anthropic are former members of OpenAI, and they've been focused on AI safety and alignment from day one. The console itself is their way of letting people interact directly with Claude without any middleman, no subscriptions to third-party apps, and no interfaces designed by someone else's product or their philosophy. And it's a way to get straight into those agents in a little bit of a cleaner method. Welcome to GBRLIFE Reviews, where I test the tools, platforms, and systems so you don't waste your time, your money, or your energy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Use the chapters to get to your specific destination. So now let's get into what I like, what I don't like, and Claude Console, and see if it's worth it. And of course, the GBRLIFE rating. But first, what I like. Okay, so here we are looking at what I like, and you're going to see that you're getting a dashboard. Organized-ish. I mean, I guess it's a dashboard, right? But in a sense, you are getting some very good information because the first thing that you're able to see is exactly what the organizational credits are. In other words, what you have added in order to pay for what you're doing. I didn't say this was free. I said it's there. So it's basically all credit-based or token-based, depending on how you want to say that. I mean, I guess they're different. You have to pay to play kind of thing. But it's not overly expensive unless you're using this for high-end things. So if you're doing anything for simple tasks, like, hey, can you give me the latest news every single morning? That's not a huge thing for this to do. And that would be through an agent, but we'll get to that in just a second. And then it tells you how much you spent. It gives you your prompt caching, because I always want to say caching, token volume, and then tells you what models it's using and resources. And then from there, you have your API keys. No, I'm not pressing on it. Do you think I'm stupid? I'm not stupid. I'm not pressing on that. And then you have your build, workbench, files, skills, batches, manage your agents, of course, all of that fun stuff in there, analytics. If I go over to usage, it's telling you how much you're using, so it can prove to you that you did what you said that you did and that's why you used all that money. That was on you. Or you go over to Claude Code and see how much you've used that. Why? Because this is attached to the exact same account that you would have with Claude. You know, the regular Claude that you go and sign into. Yeah, we'll look at that in a second as well. But this, I like that you're looking at everything that you're doing in basically, in both locations via the console, but also you can kind of see not your conversations, but kind of the way that you're using Claude and how much you're actually using when we're talking about things like your tokens and your credits and how you're using it via your agents. Now, if I go over to agents, quick start, you have your templates over here. That would be here. Oh, and this one as well. Or you can build an agent by yourself. I know you're probably thinking, if you are someone who does not do code, why am I showing you this? And how are you going to do this if you don't know how to do code? Well, you don't need to know how to use code. You can just ask, right? Because Claude itself, creating an agent, can help you create the code. Now, if you notice over here, it actually says this right here, but you can use other models in order to make this happen. And not the models you're thinking of. I'm not talking about AI models, but you have a choice. You can ask for the code itself and have this built it for you. So this is me saying this is the things that I like about this. You can create an agent very easily by working with Claude and saying, hey, help me through step by step to create an agent and give me exactly what I need to do in order to do that. It's going to ask you what type of agent. You're going to provide it details, and you're going to provide it many details. You need to say exactly what you're trying to do. Don't just say, I want news articles. Okay, what kind of news articles? From where? The whole web? Just the most important about specific topics? What are you looking for? That is also the difference between a prompt and a skill. Do you have the ability to come over here and state to Claude or any AI tool exactly what you want? And you can't say you don't know what you want. You know what you want. We're going to insert that whole moment from the notebook. What do you want? Tell me what you want. I will tell you what I want. I want very particular ways to assist my business in that I don't have to do it anymore. And that could be something as simple as research. You can see this right here. There's a reason they made that a tool or a template. It's because so many people need research done, and research takes forever. So I like that. That's something that's really awesome. And conversation memory works really well in here. So anything that you're doing, it's going to be there. You can go back and ask about it as long as you're not deleting things. And really, you don't delete in any of this. You're archiving. So of course you have to be mindful of that, but you also need to understand that it's awesome and you should just use it. And that's what I'm saying. Anyways, the point is you can ask for the code. You can work with it via something like Make, but you are doing the same thing. The difference is with Claude Console, you are in the backbone of Claude and working directly with it. So let's go into Deep Researcher. We're going to use this template so you get an idea. I didn't have to do much. You can update certain things as you need to, but you can also, again, ask Claude. And then from there, it's going to ask me a question. Do I want to use the one I already created, or do I want to create a new one? I'm going to create a new one so that you're able to see. From here, am I doing unrestricted or limited research or internet access? I'm going to say unrestricted. It's going to continue forward. Next, we're going to start the session, and it's showing you right over here. I know this looks scary. It's not scary, and that's what I like. If you get past that, it looks like information that a coder would use, you're going to be fine. Then you press test run, and now it's live, and it'll send me messages in the test panel, and that's really it. So as it's doing its thing, because it's waiting for the first message, you can continue along and do other things. The other option is, and I hope I didn't use a whole bunch of my credits, is you go over to something like this, like Make. You create a Google Sheet, you tell it, hey, look up this stuff over here, I'll provide you the information. You go over to HTTP, and then you click on it, and you provide it the exact same information that is coming from here. And what that means is stuff like this. Now, there's a reason I can't show you directly inside, and that is because directly inside here may have API keys. No, you do not get those. And then you connect your Gmail to get that being the place that it sends you to. You don't have to do Gmail. You can do other places, and it will work. But either way, it's as simple as that. You ask this portion to tell you exactly what the next step is. You say, hey, I want to do this. How do I do that? And it'll say you go over here, and then you click on this, and then you click on this, and then you click on that, and then you type in this, and you say, I don't want to type it in. I don't know how. And then it'll say, okay, copy this, and then you copy it, and then you paste it, and it's that simple. Now, will everything work perfectly? No. So let's get into what I don't like. First thing I don't like, this is real. It takes a minute when you're doing it for the first time. It's not all going to be quick. The other thing is that it's also going to fail. Go over to my usage so I can check out what we just did right now. How much did I just use? I don't like it. I like it, but I don't like it. Okay. Wow. Okay. That's a lot. I'm not a fan. Either way, this is what I used. You can see that, okay, I'm doing something that may take a lot of effort, so I may use a lot. Or I may have used something over and over again in order to get it to work, so my usage was a little bit higher. But then afterwards, once it was working, it's pretty solid. It's not this high usage anymore. It's very common to come into an issue in the beginning and then work it out with Claude, and you should be good to go. So I don't love that, but it is part of how this works because it needs to figure out what you're looking for. You may have all these ideas and a way that you want it to happen, but it's going to tell you how it can actually happen. So there's going to be quirks here, and you're going to find out, oh, you know what? I want to do this agent, but it's not really going to work exactly as I want it to work. And unfortunately, because I want it to work this specific way, I may actually need to create 3 or 4 agents to make it work exactly as I want it to work. But you can automate it, or you can use something like this, and you can automate it to run however often you want by creating a schedule, or just run it once every single time you want to do it. Or again, you go through here and it just automatically happens because that's what you're doing. Now, going back over to the dashboard, and the other thing I don't like is that you can see there is no integrations in here. There are integrations within Claude itself, but it's not using that. If you want to use an integration this manner, that's the problem. It's not going to happen. But if you want to use it through using this, but through something like Make, that is allowed. I don't love that. I wish it was the other way around. So unfortunately, that's that. Now, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's talk some pricing. Okay, and here you have the pricing. Now, I'm sure this is a little bit on the confusing side because it's like, but this isn't really pricing. This is just, how much you spend in order to use that much. But that's what this is. So you're not really doing anything for free. You have to pay for the tokens. And by doing that, you determine how much you're going to use via which model you're going to end up using. And then you can kind of have a better idea of the monthly output. Here's the good news. You can ask Claude that. You can decide whether or not this is something that is going to cost you a lot of money and how it's going to cost you. You can go through every single setup and it will calculate how many tokens you're likely to use and likely how bad it's going to get in how much you're spending a month, a day, whatever the case is, and for however many agents. So that unfortunately is the pricing structure, but I will say this, it doesn't use as much as you might think. It does if it's a high-end task. Like doing deep research is pretty high-end because it's looking through a lot. But if you're doing something like, I'm going to give you the information, just search for the information that I can, based off of this specific topic, that I can use in order to create a script, for example, and then send it to me so I can create my script. You can also have it create your script, but you're going to have to give it the layout as well to make this a simple situation. So the pricing, it's going to depend on you, but you can see that it starts as little as $1, 50 cents, 30 cents, depending on what model and what you are doing. Which brings us to the big question. Is it worth it? I would say that Claude is worth it for anyone who's a writer, programmer, researcher, student, creative, business professional. So basically, it sounds like I'm about to say literally everybody. And you're kind of right, but no, I would say that don't use this if you are somebody who is visual or video based, or if you need native integrations with business tools, or you need real-time collaboration. But I would say that this is really good for basically anyone who works with text information or ideas as it fits. And that is the very reason I'm giving Claude Console a 4 out of 5. In general, this tool is phenomenal. It really does give you the backbone of Claude, and it gives you the understanding of what's happening and why. And I don't think that the pricing is completely unfair. You're not using as much output as you might be thinking. It is a lot that is going on with what you're doing, but it's not insane. It's not insane. It's not horrible. You have the opportunity to use this without having really much understanding of why in the beginning or how in the beginning, and you're going to end understanding so much more than you may have ever understood because the information's in front of you and you have an actual assistant holding your hand while you do it. So it's not a perfect tool because as you go through it, it's going to fail. It's going to have its issues. But as long as you are working with it, in the very beginning, you're talking about a little bit being uncomfortable a little bit in the beginning, and then it working very well as you continue to use it. And if you find any issues with it as you continue to use it, you go back, you ask, and it will tell you exactly where to go, exactly what's wrong, and it'll help you fix it again. Plus, Claude itself has free tiers. So if you want to use the AI portion of it and certain models, you can use that for free and then still get to do something like this and just pay for your API key and your tokens. Can't say that's too bad at all. So now I want to know what you think. Have you used Claude Console before? Are you using agents and coding with another AI tool? Drop that in the comments below because I feel like this is one of those things that there's a lot out there about it and everybody has their own preferred method. So let us know, all in the comments. And that's it for this week's review. But if you want more, remember, you can check out the companion blog over at GBRLIFE.com. It's linked below. And if you want another tool right now, check out the GBRLIFE Reviews playlist because I test these tools so you're not wasting your time and your money, remember? Which means there's plenty. Go check it out. Just like my review last week on Akiflow. Or is it the non-AI tool that you're looking for? Because it has AI, but you don't have to use it. Well, you're going to find that out when you watch that one next. And remember, with everything on GBRLIFE and my fabulous Mama Koala clothing line, you don't have to be without GBRLIFE in your life. Now go check out the next review, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!